Okay. Would the clerk call the roll, please? And just a reminder to the board, we've had complaints that people can't hear you. Please speak like this close to the microphone.
Esri,
Present.
Furtado,
Here.
Harper,
Here.
King,
Here.
Lokshin,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Michaels,
Present.
Pasalakwa, Paul, Rodriguez,
Here.
Storr, Straub,
Here.
Summers,
It does now.
Taylor,
Here.
Thorsland,
Here.
Vanish Theranot, Williams,
Here.
Carter,
Here.
Cowart, Patterson.
Here.
Is Summers here?
Okay, we have a quorum present. The prayer for this evening. Lord, I give you my hands to do your work. I give you my feet to go your way. I give you my eyes to see as you do. I give you my tongue to speak your words. I give you my mind that you may think in my thoughts. And above all, I give you my heart that through me you may care for others. Amen. Join me for the pledge. Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read the notice of the meeting, please?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on June 23rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. in the Shields Carter Meeting Room, Brookins Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion? Mr. Esri?
So moved.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Michaels? Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is the date and time of the next regular meeting. The only one that's listed in your agenda is the regular meeting for July 21st. We do not have regular committee meetings in the month of July. However, I would like to remind the board, it's not posted here, but it is posted, it will be posted. There is a joint ELUX ZBA study session on wind farm ordinances scheduled for June the 30th at 6:30. And the broadband task force is scheduled to meet on July 11th and July 14th from 4:30 to 6 o'clock to develop some recommendations for the board's broadband allocation for ARPA funds. Next, we have public participation. Is there any public participants? And I see I have a list here. Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak? Bring up your sheet. Okay, we'll start. First is Tim Odom. Come to the center and just press the button down. Press the button down and speak close to the mic, please.
Good afternoon. I just want to bring up a topic of Memorial Day. My criminal record and mugshots was posted in Rantoul Community Uncensored, and they had altered some stuff. But what bothered me was there was the Champaign County Sheriff's Department logo that was up there as well. By law, something that's extremely old, they can't post up there. So, my fear is a correctional officer using his position to take the information and pass it on to somebody else. And I don't believe that, that's appropriate nor right for a second party to do something that the sheriff's department cannot do themselves. The other concern is copyright infringement. I have discussed this with the sheriff's department. I have discussed this with some of the people in the correction office. What I was led to believe from the correction office is, yeah, we could do this if we wanted to do this. I believe with Illinois law that that's incorrect. So, there may be an area that there need to be some more training in. So I just wanted to take my time to bring it to the attention of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Robert Burkhalter.
Good evening. Sorry, I can't see. I'm here tonight to take a few minutes to talk to you about county wages and our contract negotiations. And I'm sure that my colleagues are going to reiterate what I'm here to say. I was curious about the priority of the workforce and how it falls to this county board, so I looked up this board's mission statement. And it says, Goal 1, operate a high-performing, open, transparent county government. Strategic Initiative 2, under Goal 1, develop strategies for retention of workforce and continuity of leadership. Or, as I understand it, keeping the people who already work here, working here. I'm thrilled that this objective is so high on the county's agenda. We want to keep working here. You want us to keep working here. We all want to keep Champaign County working. But if everyone has this shared goal, it shouldn't be so hard to reach an agreement. Has this county board expressed to the elected officials and department heads in this government that in no uncertain terms, retention of this workforce is one of the highest priorities? Because until we start being your top priority, how can we make the important work of this county, the critical work that happens day in and day out, that affects the lives and well-being of so many of the very constituents you are here to represent, how can we make that work our top priority? Take care of us. Put us first. Not with what's left over, not after the building gets built, not after the road gets paved. First. Make us know we are first and cared about and appreciated. Just like any relationship, if we know we are secure, if we know we are appreciated, if we know we have the full backing of this county board, where would we ever want to go? Thank you.
Okay, next is Angela Lusk.
Hello, my name is Angela Lusk, and I am an AFSCME member for 18 years. I've worked in 3 different offices in Champaign County. I've worked at the county clerk's office, the circuit court, and the circuit clerk's office. I'm here to talk to you about fair wages and how we can start moving closer to the goal of making sure that everybody gets fair wages. And a lot of us have second jobs. Some of us couldn't be here tonight because they have a second job that they have to go to in order to survive. We're not taking fancy vacations. We're not, buying fancy clothes to wear to work or wear out anywhere. We're normal people that like to, pay our bills. And I just want you to know that a lot of us are hurting, and a lot of the places around Champaign-Urbana and the different governments, city governments, are paying their people fair wage, and we always seem to be at the bottom of the list, and we always seem to be at the bottom of the county board or our elected officials list when it comes to putting us on the budget as getting a raise. We're not going to stand for it anymore. A lot of us are very disheartened. We're trying to keep the workforce working. We're trying to keep people from quitting or leaving the county. We want to work here. We want to make sure that people are taken care of in our government. A lot of us love our jobs and want to keep continuing our service here. But it's really hard when you have to choose, to, eat macaroni and cheese or, go and maybe get another job. And, it's not right. And I've been here for, like I said, 18 years, and every time we go to negotiate, we don't have any money. We have no money. But then a month later, after we get our contract negotiated or something, all of a sudden you're spending $200,000 or $300,000 on this or that. People are still going to their functions of like county board members go to different what do you want to call it? I had this written down. The different conferences. Our bosses are going to conferences. You're spending money out of the budget to go to those kind of things. If we see that, that kind of hurts us. We have a bad taste in our mouth when we see our bosses or yourselves spending money that doesn't help us out, doesn't help our job out either. A lot of us are working 2 or 3 different jobs in our current job, like the circuit clerk's office is down several people, and there's some of the clerks back here that have like tons of stuff on their desk, and they're trying to train people at the same time, and they can barely keep their head out of water and try to train the different folks for their job. And so these people are seeing this where they're frantic because they got all this stuff to do plus train them. They're like, wow, do I really want to stay here? Do I really want this job? Is this going to be how it's going to be all the time? We don't want that. We want you to pay fair wages so that we can get a good workforce in here and stay here for a very long time so that we won't have to keep training and training and training over and over again different people. So thank you.
Okay, next is Barb McLean.
Good evening. My name is Barb McLean, and I'm the Senior Deputy Clerk at the County Recorder / County Clerk's Office. And I've been with the county now for 18.5 years. I'm here tonight to urge the county board to bargain a fair contract for the AFSCME County employees. We've kept this county running through a pandemic and chronic staffing shortages, and the county works because we do the job. And thanks for listening. That's all I have to say, but please.
Next will be Laura Clark.
I am Laura Clark. I work in the circuit clerk's office, and I've been there for about 4.5 years. I'm also the treasurer of the AFSCME Local 900 and a union steward. I'm here to speak with and on behalf of the county's AFSCME employees. You have employees that are exhausted. We're not only working 2 to 3 jobs, but we're working in offices that are and have been short-staffed. We are losing employees, and since the county is no longer a competitive employer, we do not have people or have very few people applying to these vacancies. This is not sustainable. I love my job, and I could talk about the circuit clerk's office and the courts forever. Some of my coworkers and all of my family and friends have had to hear me do that. But I have to have 2 jobs now. I'm working a minimum of 60 hours a week to pay rent, and I'm facing the decision of how long I can continue to work for the county. We work hard for this county. We see the ways that the county prioritizes and spends their money, and we are asking to be a priority. We are asking the county to bargain a fair contract for your employees.
Next is Rita Carr.
Hello, everybody. You guys all know inflation's up 9%. According to Bloomberg Economics, Americans will spend an extra $5,200 this year due to inflation. Pay raises historically for the bargaining unit have been 1.5%, 2%, 3%. County management thinks a 3% raise is generous. Even though some county staff make less than $15 an hour, I will use $15 an hour for my example. Let's break that down. $15 an hour is level poverty. Average salary for a clerical position at the city of Champaign is $55,000 a year. City of Urbana starts their people out $21 a year. But a so-called generous 3% for a staff person making $15 an hour here at Champaign County is 45 cents. $16.88 per week, that's $67.52 1 month. And that might get us a tank of gas nowadays. So that's $800.10 for the whole year. Hallelujah, we got $800 for the year. But wait, federal and state taxes must take a bite out of it. All the other entities will need their share as well. Social Security, IMRF, dental, chomp, chomp. Oh goody, here comes Blue Cross Blue Shield. They need the biggest bite. Their premiums will go up probably average $50 a month. So that's $600 a year. So what does that leave our big $800.10 raise for the year? $200, but don't forget the state and federal taxes and all the other stuff out of that $200. So where did that generous 3% go? A good majority of this staff at the county work 2 jobs. They have to make ends meet. I am working for the county for 18 years, and I have had 2 jobs for 9 of those 18 years. This county board approved the Gallagher Consultants to do surveys for the county employees. I was a little befuddled to find out it was $200,000. Oh my goodness. The union is groveling and pleading to get a fair, respectable raise. And this board, on a whim, approves to pay a consultant $200,000 to find out why we are unhappy. We could have told you that for free. It is very clear Champaign County can find money to do anything. You have the extra funds. Go to the negotiating meeting if you have our backs. Show us that you respect our work. Show us that you value our work. We are the front lines of Champaign County. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jared Tinsley.
Hello, thank you for having us tonight. I work for the Champaign County Physical Plant, and along with 9 other guys, we maintain all the mechanical equipment for the county. And like everyone has said before me, The county's being squeezed right now. Employees are feeling very squeezed, and we just want a fair contract. We want you to understand and hear what we're saying and, you know, represent us as well as everybody else in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your word, Lizette Campbell? Yvette Campbell? Yeah.
Greetings and salutations. First of all, bear with me. I'm used to being behind the camera, literally, so I get nervous when I talk. My name is Yvette Campbell. I work for the Circuit Court. I have been there 22 years. 22 years. How long have I been there, y'all? 22 years. Okay, 22 years. Within their 22 years, I have worked for 2 presiding judges. One presiding judge I worked for almost 19 years, and now since he's retired, I'm a swing clerk. Swing clerks, you have to know every single courtroom, you have to know every single judge's personalities and every single courtroom's policies, procedures, and how they like to do things. So that means what? What does that mean? That means that I have a lot of knowledge, right? And I'm not just saying that just to be saying that. I'm saying it because I'm bragging. Real talk, I'm bragging. I know a lot of knowledge. And I think that people that have been here a long time and know knowledge like that should get paid and compensated, because that goes a long way. I've been here since 2000. CDs was still a thing back then, right? Now we have Zoom. So I went from having to learn just the minimal stuff from when I started to now we have to learn and know so much more when it comes to technology, Zoom, and everything else that comes with our computer system, and we're not getting compensated for that. We just keep getting things added on to our job title and not getting compensated for that, and that's not right. Also, I have also worked 2 jobs. I have I have a small photography business that I have, and also I just picked up another job at the U of I. Now, my son, he just graduated in 2000. And from high school. And we got on him like wine on rice. What are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with your life? You need to do something. And here he comes right out of high school. He gets a job at the U of I in the athletics facility department, making $21 an hour. Y'all want to know how much I make after 22 years? $21 an hour. And my son has been there 4 months at the U of I, making the same amount of money I am. And when he gets off of probation, he's going to make $24 an hour. Here I am griping about what are you going to do with your life, and he's making more than his mama, right? So I decided to pick up a second job at the U of I as extra help. And my starting pay as a stagehand at the State Farm Center is $21 an hour starting. And I have had to work here 22 years to get there. How long have I been here, y'all? 22 years. So all I'm saying is that I wish the county board will look at how much that we have had to have added on to our job positions and job titles, how much knowledge that all of us has been here. And I'm 4th on the seniority list. There's 3 other people that have been there longer than me in my department. And I really, really love my job. And the people that I work with, we work very well together. We're a great team, and I don't want to leave, but I don't know. It's just decisions that have to be made. Bills have to be paid, and so yeah, that's all I have to say. I think. Thank y'all.
Okay, I don't have any more sheets up here. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Okay, I'll be closing public participation then. Thank you. Next, we have on the agenda the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Ms. Furtado? Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Ms. Lakshan? No discussion. Would you read the roll, please?
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss. Nope. Harper,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Lokshin,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Pasalakwa,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Straub,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Vanish Theranot,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is communications from the board. Does anyone have a communication regarding the business for the board?
I had one telephone call. It happened to be from the gentleman that spoke first, and I recommended that he come and present himself to the board. So that was the only thing I had.
Okay. Okay, seeing nothing else, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes of May 19th, 2022? Ms. King?
So moved.
Thank you. Ms. Straub?
Second.
Okay, discussion on the minutes. Any changes, corrections? Mr. Esri?
A slight, minor, I should say, correction. Page 25 of our packet, the third page of the minutes themselves, the very last line, understanding committees, environment and land use, nays, Goss, McGuire, Pasalakwa, and Paul, 5. It should be 4.
Okay,
And maybe, well, let's see, it looks like we're only absent 2. I didn't count the yays. They maybe need to be 16 because we had, according to the roll call, there were 20 total with myself and Ms. Michaels, the only 2 absent, so.
is 16 instead of
okay.
20 under the, where
Yeah.
it says consent agenda?
Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, it needs to be, yays need to be 16, and Paul's, and nays need to be 4.
Are you
Under-
talking about the consent agenda on page 20?
Standing committees, environment
Oh,
and land
standing
use.
committees. Okay, I'm sorry.
Page 25 of
Okay.
our packet, page 3 of the minutes as presented.
Page 25, government.
At the very bottom part of the page.
All
The num-
right, so
the
it
numbers.
should say 4 instead of 5.
And
16 instead of
yays
15.
instead of 15.
Okay, we'll make that change. With that correction, are we ready to vote? Okay, those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're going to take the summaries of action taken on June the 7th, 2022, meeting of the County Facilities Committee, the summary of action taken on June 9th, 2022, meeting of the Environment and Land Use Committee, the summary of action taken June 10th, 2022, meeting of Highway and Transportation, all received and placed on file. And then following that, we have summary of action taken on June 14th at the Committee of the Whole meeting is received and placed on file. And we're down to new business. Okay, items B and C are from the auditor's office. The auditor is here tonight if anybody has questions. And if there's no objection, I'll take A and B together. Can I get a motion? Ms. Michaels?
Second, Summers.
Second, Mr. Summers, for adoption of resolution number 2022-141, authorizing payment of claims, and adoption of resolution number 2022-142, authorizing purchases not following purchasing policy. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We are down to other business. This is a very short agenda tonight, and I don't see any other business. Moving down to then the discussion items. Tonight, we're having our report as usual from the American Rescue Plan Act, and Kathy is here to give the update. I'm sorry. Oh, did I skip something? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, well, just, it's for information, I'm sorry. Yeah, if there's any questions, the assessor could not be here this evening, and I can take questions back, or she can come to the next meeting. It's pretty much just for information to explain why they're combining some townships. Any questions? Mr. Williams.
Just a slight correction, they're not combining the townships, they're just combining the assessment jurisdictions.
Okay, then we can move on. Kathy?
Good evening. We have a monthly update in your packet that includes some of the status for the contracts and the agreements that we've been working on for these projects that are committed to. And we continue to work on completing these draft contracts and intergovernmental agreements for these projects. A few of them, for example, Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District and CO at Home, we have completed paying the ARPA funds for their projects, and then we just need a report on them. We also have, next month will be our quarterly report that's due to the Department of Treasury, so that'll be another round of reporting. And then we'll continue to work on these contracts that have been approved. They're in various stages, all of them. And then Darlene had included in there the small business assistance proposal that came from the board members, as well as the Seymour Water District proposal as well for ARPA funds. And I'm happy to answer any specific questions.
Chris, do you want to speak about the proposal for small businesses?
I'd be happy to. I was pleased to work on this with Ms. Samantha Carter and Dr. Stephanie Furtado. And we considered several requests for small business, and including a microloan fund with Justine Peterson, a group that will make risky loans to qualified small businesses and provide them with some counseling for startup. The talent attraction efforts for Champaign County would be through the economic development and Visit Champaign County. We've agreed that that they could get $50,000, and this is to try to attract and retain talent in Champaign County. And based on public input, that's going to be a challenge. The Champaign County Chamber of Commerce offered two programs, a microloan program that is different from the Justine Peterson program. It turns out that some businesses sometimes need help for as little as $500, and maybe a loan that is too risky for even the Justine Peterson folks. Some of these folks might have been released from prison and don't have credit. And to their credit, to their good work, Champaign Chamber of Commerce is willing to offer a microloan program. They're going to try to develop some counseling with that. I think this is going to be a very important program that I'm looking forward to seeing their progress. They also want to offer training for e-commerce. I don't know about the rest of you, but so many purchases are made online. This is, of course, not to a great benefit to those who have bricks and mortar stores that we rely on, and it makes our community work. But if they can also provide a new source of opportunity for people to purchase through e-commerce, I think this training is going to be very helpful. Or we decided that. And then finally, low hurdle small business grants. This would be managed by the Economic Development Corporation. It'll be somewhat out of our hands, but we can issue them some direction to try to help businesses that were terribly impacted through the restrictions that we suffered under COVID. The idea is to give them enough money to cover 1 or 2 months rent, which I understand, I've been told has been a big hurdle, in that businesses, surviving businesses, I should say that they could put that money to use. So the amount that was agreed that we could allot for this was $1 million, and the different organizations have agreed that for the amount that we're recommending to be proposed here on page 48. Samantha or Stephanie, do you have anything that you'd like to add to this?
I want to thank Chris and Samantha. I've sat in on a few of the conversations, but these two put a ton of energy into it, had a task force meeting that everybody in the board was invited to participate in. I couldn't go to that. Just a few things. One, I do want to make sure that specifically we're putting money forward specifically to support minority-owned and women-owned businesses within this proposal. And so I'm not entirely sure which category that falls under, but that to me is a priority. And to that end, the CDAP program I think is incredibly important. Champaign is light years ahead of this county on actually tracking and keeping track of who we do business with. So for example, I was looking at who have we brought in to do construction contracts with at the county, and I had the auditor's office pull the last 3 years of contracts. And as far as I could tell, looking at the CDAP list, sort of I cross-referenced our list with the Champaign County CDAP list. We've only done 3 construction projects with minority or small business, and only one of them was significant. Was with a woman-owned business, I think, that paints parking lots, as far as I could tell. So I think that one, even if it's not something that costs money, needs to be a priority. One of the things that Samantha did is she set us up to talk with Rachel. And Rachel actually came and spoke to our community violence task force. And what she said was that Champaign wasn't ready to expand their CDAP program beyond Champaign, but now they are. And Urbana, I think, is already signing up, and some other city, maybe it's Rantoul, or some other city, I think, is also signing up. So that, to me, would be a really low-hanging fruit that we could do so that we could start doing a better job tracking who we do business with. But I also want to make sure that as we're supporting local and small businesses and getting them off their feet, that in one of these iterations be specifically targeted to women and minority-owned businesses, because that is a specific charge of the ARPA money. That helping those communities is specifically and repetitively mentioned. So as we're looking forward to executing these various agreements with, Justine Peterson and the EDC and the chamber and all of that, I think that needs to be a question at the forefront of the conversation, needs to be embedded in the agreements that we put forward. And I don't know which of these categories it would make the most sense to do that, but that is something, Kathy, that I'd be really interested in. But that said, I fully support the allocation. I think that y'all have done a tremendous amount of work. I'll be completely transparent. When we had to fill out that little chart on where we wanted to put the money, I put 0 in this category. And although most of the caucus, at least our caucus, put money in, and I was like, I don't have any ideas for it. And I think I said to Chris and Samantha, I said, well, if y'all have ideas for it, then you better come with the ideas, because I I don't know what we're supposed to do with this money, and y'all did an amazing job trying to come up with a plan, so thank you for it. And you all were right, and I was wrong, we should have put the money in, so.
I want to echo Dr. Furtado. After speaking with business owners that are still surviving, they're barely surviving. And that's what we found out during our meetings is one business owner is paying $1,000 back rent to get caught up. She did receive some PPP money, but it came early and it's been gone, you know. And so right now she's struggling to stay afloat. And I kept her in mind because she gives Champaign such a nice place of business for us to patronize. And I really don't want to see her close her doors. So I do thank Dr. Storr and Dr. Furtado for listening to us and bringing all the heads together. We had very good brainstorming sessions, and I'm looking forward to rolling this program out. Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank Will Kiles, who with the Black Chamber of Commerce and with, he spent hours talking to us about, specifically about what, if you've ever had a conversation with Will, it's, you know what I mean, specifically about what Black businesses in Champaign County are facing. And it was incredibly helpful and incredibly insightful and specific, and the kind of things that Samantha's talking about is that there's businesses who still haven't caught up with their rent from the pandemic. And if we could just help them out, figure that piece out, their business is back up and running, but they're underwater, right? And I think that this could help some of those small businesses. We want to be a community where small businesses thrive. And these are the kind of people, you know, Visit Champaign County, the EDC, we should be working with these groups, so it's exciting.
Ms. Michaels?
Yeah, I just have a couple quick questions. I'm not as familiar with Ms. Peterson, but looking at this, I wonder, I didn't realize that the County Chamber of Commerce had a microloan program. I'm just kind of surprised that we weren't maybe trying to work with some of the local financial institutions, because they do have a Community Reinvestment Act, CRA, that they are responsible for. And I didn't know if maybe there would be a coupling that they could also help on and maybe make these dollars be a little more abundant than what we have here.
So you were not able to maybe attend the study session, Ms. Michaels? Yeah, no, that's okay. Justine Peterson actually does work with the local financial institutions.
Yeah, so Justine Peterson, it's like you put money in and then they help you leverage it with your local funders for more. That's like the business that they're in. So that's like, we should definitely get more bang for our buck than the $250,000. I don't know if it's like 2 to 1, but that's exactly what they do. They tap into those kind of funds in order to leverage it. But then they also manage, because let's just be real, we don't have the staff to manage all that. So but that is exactly, that's why that category is on there.
And just also to clarify, Justine Peterson was an actual real person. She was a social worker, but that it's now a company. The name of the company is called Justine Peterson. All right, Mr. Storr.
Thank you, Madam County Executive. And to clarify, the Chamber of Commerce does not yet have a microloan program. They are going to develop that this will be a homegrown sort of thing. And I'm sure that if there is a financial institution that would be willing to kind of work with them on these very risky loans, with people who have less than, bottom credit, I'm sure that they'll try to work with that. But I'll pass that along.
Mr. McGuire.
Thank you. I see a lot of these programs is very important. I did have a question as far as how much we're spending and how much we're spending for each item. It says requested 1.5 million and the proposed is $1 million. So how do we differentiate who gets what?
The two columns on your chart, the first the column is the requested amounts from each player, And the second column is the proposed amount that the committee
Has decided.
has decided, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And there was $1 million allocated in this line item, so it doesn't really require a board vote, but we wanted to make sure everybody was agreeable. If there's no objection to this plan, that's what we will go ahead and write contracts for. Is there further discussion about it? Okay, we can go ahead and write contracts, Kathy. And then the second part is the Seymour Water District proposal. This came in after the water decisions were made for the rural water projects. And in actuality, it's really more a business proposal for the water district rather than a construction project. So the question would be, if you, it's not a huge amount of money either, but if you want to consider that, we could take it out of the to be decided line. There is enough funds left to do that. So it's just up to you whether you'd like to fund this or not. Or do you want to wait till the next we'd consider water projects again in the second tranche of funding, or what would you like to do? Open for discussion. Ms. Furtado.
This is just me. I'm not against this project, but I do think, like, I don't know how much time we spent on all the different water proposals, and this came in after, and so I kind of feel like we should wait to the second round to decide if we want to put more money into water, because I could also maybe see this coming out of the utility money, but we spent, that also has all been allocated, right? We gave it to Muhammad, we gave it to yeah, so like, to me, I just don't know, like, we've already discussed this at length in committees, and this is just after the fact, and we didn't fund everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so if we are going to consider funding this, there were other people that we said no to, or other people that we said, oh, we can only give you a fifth of what you asked for, and I don't really know, like, if this would stack up with, and especially we'd want to hear from the person whose district this is in, would this stack up with the other unmet requests on there, and which one? So for me, I personally would think just push it to the next round, but that's just my opinion.
Mr. Summers?
I concur with Ms. Furtado. I think it would be more prudent to wait until the second tranche comes in.
Okay. Mr. Williams? Nope. Okay. Okay, we'll just wait on this one. We'll keep it in mind for the next round. And then the other request for tonight is the county clerk asked for several different items in the first tranche of funding, and the voting machine that was approved. There was a smaller machine that was estimated, and as you recall, there were estimates given at the time. We didn't know actual costs. Though he did end up purchasing the very larger machine, and at that time, probably we should have come back and asked for additional allocation, because it's, I do have some flexibility, but this is a significant amount of money. It's $123,000. So I just wanted to bring it back to the board, and I asked him to write a memo about it for you to consider. So that discussion's open on that item.
Yeah, so I'll say, and this is also, I mean, like, the clerk definitely told me in conversation that it was going to cost more. I mean, just in general, we put money in all of these categories. We didn't know what it would cost. We have the money. It's not a problem. Like, we still have, specifically for the clerk, we put $500,000 in there in case we had to enclose that courtyard, which we're not doing because we're moving to, so there's $500,000 there. And we still also, one of the reasons towards the end of the budget process is we put, I think, $3-point-something million back into the county side money, is because we wanted the ability to have ARPA funds to pay for things as they came up. So obviously we used a lot of it to spend for the county plaza, but we still have, if you look on page 52, we still have $269,000 to be determined. So between those two categories, we have $769,000. I personally would just take it out of the clerk's base assessment, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But I support it. I know that one of the sheriff's pieces came back higher. This is significantly higher, but I'd rather we get the equipment that we need than not. So Just like Darlene said on the other one, there's really no vote that has to take place. The money's here, but we want to try to be as transparent and let everybody know where we are. But we're not out
And
of money.
I would suggest actually that we take it out of the to be determined line, which is still 200,000.
Okay,
Because
I'm fine with
eventually,
it.
I'm hoping actually that we would use the 500,000 in County Plaza to do the space there.
Okay, well, we will, if we do end up doing that, we'll have to reallocate it anyway, because we're not going to be doing that this year. But yeah, I'm fine with it coming out of to be determined.
Thank you, Stephanie. That cleared up something, I guess. So the 500,000, we're probably not going to use.
Yeah, that was allocated to reconfigure space to combine the clerk and recorder, and also the vote by mail machines are large and they needed a space. And we were talking about, we had several options, most of which were really expensive. So we just took a wild stab at a number, which was 500,000.
Stan, that was specifically, if we weren't moving to County Plaza, we were going to have to do something in this building.
Right, yeah.
And Dana was like, I don't know, $500,000. So
Right.
we put it in here, but we're
Right,
not
we
doing
didn't,
that
yeah, it
anymore.
was just an estimate of construction costs for whatever we ended up doing.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
what about this 475,000 digitized crap? So
We spent that last month, we talked about that, so the county clerk has a digitization project starting.
Okay.
And that ended up costing less than we estimated, so we used the other 100, it's 100,000 lower, and we ended up using the other 100,000 to pay for other departments to be digitized as well. So the administration, facilities, the treasurer are going to be also and planning and zoning also are going to digitize their materials that they need digitized. We still have to do the recorder and the recorder and the coroner, which are they're also a little more expensive, so we'll probably bring those back to you in the second tranche.
all right. I just got, when I added up this new number at 228 and everything else and the postage, I said, that's $1,098.
It is.
Budgeted towards one office.
Yep.
I was looking here, our auditor asked for 24,000, has used 10,000. I mean, I don't know that we're gonna need all that postage, because I'm heard from 3 or 4 different sources that, they've gotten their vote by mail ballot, but no ballot in the envelope.
The clerk is here if you want to talk about postage, because that's what actually this allocation, the money that will be returned will be used for postage, because the machine's already been purchased.
Yeah, but why are ballot, or
Yeah,
getting mailed, no ballot in it?
that'd be an Aaron question.
I've had three. Vote by mail. I mean, I've had 3 different people say they got the envelope, no ballot in it. No, well, okay, yeah, that's true. It's not our, I apologize.
Yeah, this isn't talking about the vote by mail situation, but we're talking about the ARP allocation for the vote by mail. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I'm just saying, it's a lot of money for postage, but I guess,
I think the question, Aaron, is the amount of money for postage with the new vote by mail stuff.
I've heard a lot. I haven't heard a question.
it's, well, Aaron, the one question I would have, does 95,000 cover the postage? I mean, you should have a pretty good handle on how many vote by mail ballots are out or going out.
So I didn't come to this meeting prepared to answer questions
Oh,
about
okay.
postage, but we know that there's going to be at least $45,000 that we have to spend
Okay.
in the general election, and I don't have all the other numbers in front of me
Okay.
right now.
Oh, this is for primary and general you're estimating?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Mr. Williams?
Clerk Ammons.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, you incur process costs when you mail out the ballots. You incur the postage costs when you mail out the ballots. If someone returns it, do we incur it? Like, is it prepaid on the return envelope?
Well, it depends
Or
on,
is it-
yes. So it's prepaid for them to send the envelope back, but if they use the drop box, we don't have to pay any postage at all. That was the purpose of the investment into the drop boxes. So the more people use drop boxes, the more drop box locations we have. Like, I think we have 11 now. We could have had more if we'd had one other vote in Tolono. But if people use the drop boxes, we save money. We won't have to
We
pay
save
postage.
money on postage. Okay, I'm a
Yes.
millennial, so I don't know how the post office works or mail or, thank you
sorry.
for the
So
education.
they're pre-stamped, Mr. Williams, they're pre-stamped, but when you don't use the postage, when they run it through the post office, that's when they charge you for it.
And these stamps, what are they?
They're stamped with return mail. Yeah. Mr. Passalacqua?
So if I'm hearing and reading this correctly, the underestimation was not $18,000, it was $123,000. Is this correct? So I think this speaks to the point that the union members were trying to make. The optics of not budgeting anywhere close is exactly what they're talking about, why this board and elected officials appears to not have that. I don't know. I think this is what she described to us tonight. I don't sit in your job, but it seems like all of us could have done a better job than 50% or 100% error, but that's just what it looks like on the outside.
If I may.
Excuse me, may I
Oh,
respond?
Yeah, you can, but then I have a comment.
Well, the estimates are just estimates, as we all alluded to. And if we're going to take the $100,000 over, then you would also have to take the $100,000 under and say, good job, Aaron, right? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That is an important point that I was going to say, is that the digitization project for his office came in $100,000 less. You know, we approved for the state's attorney, I don't know, she's putting things in the cloud, and that was a full $100,000 more than she anticipated, right? So some of it is the process of when these we got these figures through the budget process. A lot of them were very nebulous figures. I mean, one of the sheriff's scanner things came in, and not $100,000 more, but was at least 20% more than he estimated. I mean, basically, we told all these elected officials, give us your best guess. And so really, Aaron's stuff almost washes out. There's like $20,000 where his categories don't wash out, but we spent the rest of the digitization. We figured get as much bang for the buck as we can, get the smaller departments done. So it's still under his little category, but it's all those other, the treasurer and all that kind of stuff is under there too. So, yeah.
That was actually the reason we had the to be determined category. It was because we were just guessing at numbers at that point, some best guess estimates, and then we had to do the RFPs, which brought in the actual numbers. Yeah. Mr. McGuire?
Thank you. I have a real issue. It seems like we have different rules. We just didn't want to pay for a valve that was $34,000 because it was too late. And we have a process for making purchases, and we expect estimates that are at least closer than 100%. I think this is more as a budget amendment, where it should require 15 votes, but at least it should have came back to the county board for us to discuss it before he spent the extra money. He described a certain mail sorter, but then went and purchased a different one. That I have a real issue with all the departments doing the purchases that way, and they shouldn't be done that way. We're responsible for the budget and the taxpayers' money, including paying employees and having the money to pay employees when they're looking for it.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Thanks. I just wanted to point out that we have a few other hands up here. I know you were looking this way. I just want to make sure that you saw the other hands on this side. I know that your head is facing this way. Can you hear me now? Great. Thank you. So just really quickly, because the integrity of our elections and our ability to have faith in our elections are so important, could we do a raise of hands if you have requested and received your vote by mail ballot in the mail? Did it contain everything that you needed? Yes. Okay. And Mr. Clerk, if any person who has requested a vote by mail ballot, for example, does not receive something, In that, what might they do? Who might they direct their questions to?
They would just simply call the office, let us know that there was something missing from the ballot or from the envelope, and we would send them what they need. We would send them another envelope.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, I just want to put another spin on this. It sure sounds like the clerk's office has saved us quite a bit of money. I don't know why we're framing it any other way. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Straub.
Thank you. I sit on the Highway Department committee, and boy, have we seen a change in what things cost. It's almost like this is a really common thing that nobody on that committee has ever said anything about, because that's just a really common thing that happens right now. It's amazing to me that this is a huge issue with Clerk Ammons, but it is never an issue on the first Friday of every month. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that, and then I'm going to remind us all that this is ARPA money. This is not the same spending process as any other purchases. So having temper tantrums about how it's done means that you haven't been paying attention. That's all.
Ms. Lakshan.
Well, I think Jen Straub just covered most of what I had wanted to say, but also a reminder that as much as I would like to increase county salaries out of ARPA money, that's not something that can be sustained. We have this money for a limited time, and we cannot increase salaries with it. So to do these things that are bringing the county up to date and modernizing the machines that we have is hopefully going to free up money in the budget that we would have had to spend maintaining our equipment, maintaining our facilities, so that we can increase salaries.
Mr. Summers.
Excuse me, staying on topic, I would certainly suggest that we use other available funds for the balance of the purchase. I do want to point out that in being on this board for 6 years and trying to diligently read packets and stay informed, the budgeting process still befuddles me at times. It is complicated. There are different pots of money. And I can certainly understand how folks that read an article in the paper and say, well, the county board's spending $228,960 on a piece of equipment, and then they go, well, and they say they don't have any money. It takes a lot of time and diligence to really get a grasp of where the dollars in Champaign County are and how they can be spent. And folks need to take the time to ask questions so they understand what the county has available to spend and where the money is coming from that we are spending. Thank you.
Ms. King.
I'd also like to remind everyone that our finance chair, Ms. Furtado, is incredibly responsive. So if you have questions about how something is budgeted, where it's coming from, being paid from, she has always had an answer for me and is usually really quick and back in my inbox.
Okay, Mr. Harper.
Yeah, I understand where Jen's coming from, and I realize this is ARPA money, but if you look through there and add up $1,098,000, you go, wow, my little village of St. Joe got $100,000, and they're trying to do drainage and water treatment stuff. We're not covering the engineering costs for these people. I realize it's ARPA money, but, you know, Ms. Furtado and the clerk, I mean, if we can save that $500,000 to use towards the move into County Plaza, hey, I'm all for it. But when you first look at that and add up $1,098,000, and the little village I represent gets $100,000, that's where I'm coming from, Jen. I understand it's all ARPA money, and I understand how budgets are worked. You're trying to estimate what you got. So, yeah, that's all I had to say. Thanks.
So if I might just make one last comment, I would like to say that the approach that I took coming into this office, seeing all of the money that needed to be spent to modernize the office, to even just get machines that are currently manufactured, to use a current version of Windows that's supported and secure. There are costs to running an election. Now, One of the things that was shared at the COW from Mr. Evans was the $100+ million, over $100 million that have been spent on satellite jail, the courthouse, the clock tower, juvenile detention center, and now another $20 million on the jail and $20 more million for the county plaza, which was driven by the sheriff's needs. Now, how much money did we spend on elections and election equipment in that same amount of time? All right.
All right, Mr. Thorsland, you haven't spoken yet.
Thank you. I just want to remind the board, I know that ARPA money and grant money are different things, but I think after the amount of money the highway department gets from the gas tax and in other grants, the clerk's office has saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars through various grant awards that got us through the pandemic. If you recall, they brought in money to the point where they gave us back money. And this was before we knew about the ARPA money. So I think the clerk's office is probably one of the few offices that has been able to really leverage what they do for grant money. They've done very well with what we've given them. Aaron's right. The office was really out of date, terribly out of date. And there's no way to bring it up to speed without spending money. And we know in the news there's constant noise about the integrity of our elections. Well, this county put our money towards making sure our elections have that integrity, and that costs money. So if you want to complain about the integrity of elections, but you don't want to support making sure those elections are secure, then you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. So I think we've talked about this machine way more than we need to. We seem to talk about things in the clerk office way more than we need to. And I'm getting tired of it. And so I think since this is already a non-vote item, that maybe we should wrap this up and make sure we have the machines we need to run that department properly.
Okay, Mr. Esri, you haven't spoken yet.
Thanks. Just a little bit of history. The previous clerk came to us many, many times asking for money for machines, and we didn't have it. We turned him down. So it's not that he didn't try.
I think everybody has spoken on this issue at least once, so
Yes, some
unless
other
you,
people
unless
have
you have
spoken
something,
twice.
pardon?
Yes, I would like to.
If you have
make
one more
comment.
thing to say, then we'll just close it down.
Because I just want to bring it back to the fact that we have a budget process and it needs to be followed. We have estimates from Highway, and they're voted on and provided, and it's not the same thing to say, oh, it's higher. We're saying that we voted for a machine. We voted for a machine that was 100. Can I finish my comment? I'm lying? The machine we were told it was
Carter, you don't have-
$100,000,
stop it. You don't
and now
have
we're
the floor.
voting for
Stop.
$238,000.
All right, everybody has spoken at least once and some people twice. Unless we have something new to say about whether we're going to support this or not, we need to move forward. And I will say that at this point, the machine is purchased. So we've spent the money. And the money now will be used for postage for the election, which if you don't want to take it out of ARPA, will have to be taken out of the general fund.
It should be
Yeah,
taken
go
out of
ahead.
his own budget, not out
So,
of the
so
general fund.
listen, as finance chair, the money is appropriated in the category of projects to be determined. Y'all voted on that, and the
We
money is
did, and
going
it
to
was
come
a
out of
certain
there.
amount,
So Darlene,
and that's
please
the
take it out
issue.
of there.
The
Okay?
finance chair doesn't have the ability by herself to make these decisions.
Okay, let's
And
take
now we have
let's take a straw
$500,000
poll.
slush fund.
All right, we need to take a straw poll because we need to move forward. Well, we need some idea of if there's objection to this, because that's what we agreed to.
No,
So.
I think
there's
we
no-
should stake it to the state's attorney's
It's-
office and they have a question
No,
about budget
Jim,
amendments
we
for
don't
the
have,
county.
Jim, we don't have to vote on this one. It's in the
That's what I'm
budget, we can
doing.
we can do this. I'm just getting a consensus and discussion from the board, so it's open and transparent about what we're doing. And, okay, there
Madam
is
Executive,
transparency. That's why we're talking about it
There is a
tonight.
quorum present.
Okay. All right, I'm asking now, is there anybody sitting on the floor besides Mr. McGuire that's totally opposed to this? All right, then we will move forward. Thank you. All right, we are now to the end of the meeting. Unless there's other business, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.